Hey everybody, hello friends. I have different glasses on. These are my sunglasses. They're my prescription sunglasses because I left my other glasses in the other room. That's like so far away, and I'm gonna have to hobble to get them. So these are my sunglasses, but I need them to see you. So um, Today I had a really busy day. It was my first day back at work. I had a really busy day on campus. We had a big event. It was really great, and fortunately, my sister-in-law let me nap at her place because I had pipe practice after that, and I knew I wasn't going to make both of those things. I wasn't going to make the second thing successfully if I didn't nap. But when I was at work today, over lunch, we were like, just chit-chatting and stuff, and we were talking about toxic relationships, and I thought, oh, God, that's a heavy topic. But I wanted to talk about it and just, maybe share light and love. So I think we all know people who have been in a toxic relationship, and it can be a relationship, with a partner or a spouse, or a lover or, a friend. But there can also be toxic relationships at work or toxic relationships in your neighborhood, toxic relationships with your family, right? And we know the signs of those. Like when we see them in other people, right? We see toxicity, we see it in others. So, abusive language or, in some ways ignoring somebody is also very toxic, right? It can be toxic. And there's toxicity and then there's abuse, and those sometimes go hand in hand, but not always. So, and sometimes, like, we don't want to admit this, but sometimes we're the toxic person. We don't want to admit that, but, that could be the case that we are the one being toxic. So, what do you do? Like, how do you know? So, in a family, in any kind of relationship where there's toxicity, it's like acid, right? So something is corroding on something. So there might be a lot of fights or a lot of silence. Not everybody fights. There's sometimes silence. And then, there's somebody's afraid to speak freely, and another person is, maybe says mean things or offhanded things that are just not kind. That don't allow the other person to be the person that they fully are, right? Um, you know, you know, I say I love you all the time to everybody. I say it to everybody. And that's because nobody said it to me as a kid. So I make sure, like, my kids do not leave this house without me telling them I love them. And I say I love you all the time to friends, to, not to my neighbors, but I would if I knew them well enough, I guess. But I tell the hikers I love them all the time, but I was once told, like you say I love you too much. And, okay, fair enough. But the way that it was said was very cutting, to me, because it was then, devaluing who I am as a person. And this is a person that I loved and cared for very much. And I thought, then I never said it. And I was like, okay, I have to not say it. And I had to change who I am. If you have to change who you are at the core of your heart, and it's a good quality, that's a warning sign. Don't do that. I shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't do it either. When you become afraid to speak, whether it's with your family or with a friend or whatever, where you feel like you are silenced because, this person's like, well, I don't want to talk about that. You want to complain about work and you just need to vent, and the person's like, oh, I don't want to listen to you. Or, like if you, have something in common and you're kind of just kibitzing, and the person's like, well, I've heard it all and I'm not going to talk to you about that anymore. Like, if you can't have a conversation with a person and like sort of like that and just like chat and stuff, like if you can't be yourself, if you can't be your authentic self, then you're having to become something else for this person. And chances are, no matter how much you change, you're never going to make that person happy. They're just unhappy with you and who you are. And often that comes with being unhappy with themselves. So, that leads to toxicity because you become silenced and you become a fraction or a version of yourself. So, this can happen in families. This can happen at work, and obviously it happens in relationships all the time. So, you know, if you're silencing somebody, or if you are the one who's like making cutting jabs and saying things that aren't unkind, just to be mean or whatever, like, why are you doing that? Like, why? You have to ask yourself at the end of the day, like, why are you doing that? You know, like, if you're the receiver of the toxic behavior, you have to think to yourself, like, why am I putting up with this? Why do I care so much if this person, like, why do I care that this person thinks I say I love you too much? Like, you know, and it's probably because you love the person, right? It's probably because you care very much for them. But, you know, like, at some point you have to ask yourself, you know, how much of yourself are you willing to sacrifice in order to keep this person in your life? And it's probably not worth it. You know, it's probably not worth it. If a person doesn't love and value you for the beautiful person that you are, if they can't accept that, let them go. Kick them to the curb. Let them walk away. They don't deserve you. They don't deserve the loving, kind, and, you know, great person that you are. So whether that's a colleague at work, or whether it's a friend, or whether it's a partner, lover, spouse, whether it's a family member, you have to, at some point in your life, just say, you know what? I am worth it. My energy is good. This person is bringing my vibrations down. This person is making me into a basket case. Like, this person is making me, you know, double think every single thing I say and everything I do. Let it go. Let it go. Because you are worth something. You are wonderful and good, and you have great energy around you. You don't need to fill your energy space with toxicity. You can let it go. Now, I need to practice what I preach, and that's the truth. But when we put ourselves in that headspace, when you want to make an intention, like I've been big into these intentions, I make them every day. You want to say something like concrete, like, I intend to not allow toxic people into my space. It really helps. You know, you see the person at work, or you see the person in your neighborhood that's toxic, and you're like, you know, I don't have to let their energy in. I can just ignore them, right? Unless you have to deal with them, and then you just deal with them in the most professional way. Don't return toxic behavior, right? Don't become toxic because somebody was toxic with you. You just deal with them in the most professional way, and you let them go. That's what you do. So, this message is about light and positivity in your life, and being all that you can be with the love and grace and divine love surrounding you. You don't have to allow toxic people, even if they're your, like, mother. You don't have to allow it. You know, you can draw boundaries, and you can say, enough is enough. Now, I'm not a psychologist, so that process might require professional help. You might need somebody to help you do that, somebody to help you let go of that relationship. But the first step in stopping the toxic behavior is recognizing that it is, in fact, toxic behavior. So, all the best of light and love to you, and I will see you next time with my other glasses. Unless you like these better. I don't know, I just got them, but they're sunglasses because I need them to drive. All right, be well. Love you guys. Bye.